Welcome back to another episode of The Art of Unraveling. I'm super excited to have my guest here today, Stephanie Grutz. I've known Stephanie for many years. She's even come to some of my Kundalini classes. I've went to her facility for different treatments. She definitely helped me through COVID when I had COVID back in the day, 2021. So many different things. She is just a wealth of information. We're so lucky to have her here in Dubuque and beyond. She's not just Dubuque. She's global at this point. I'm so inspired watching her journey and watching all the things that unravel for her in her life. And I would like to just turn it over and have her introduce herself. So Stephanie, what else can we say about you?
Thank you, Erin. That's sweet. And yeah, I think like our fondest memories, one, taking Reiki courses with you.
Yes.
And Kundalini was, I don't know, it lit my soul on fire. And you were the person that like introduced that and really just, you lead it so beautifully. So I can't wait until maybe getting that experience again with you. So like Erin said, I'm Stephanie Grutz. I'm a board certified family nurse practitioner, and I specialize in integrative medicine. So I went on my own health journey for the past 15 years, and every day brought me closer to integrative medicine. And about 8 years ago, I really like took the dive to like really figure out what the root cause of my illness was. And that's kind of when I started bringing it back to Dubuque, and I opened up a clinic. I have an IV infusion clinic where we do IV nutrient therapy for autoimmune disease, people that just want to stay healthy, antivirals, obviously COVID was a big deal, and then oncology support as well. And I also have a supplement line, and everything that I have, which is beautiful in my clinic, was born out of a need for myself. And so it was really easy to create a business. Like people get so afraid of what could be. And I was like, well, if I do this for myself and I'm helping people in the offset, then there's no wasted anything. So that kind of was my motivation to start a practice. And now it's growing and thriving. And yeah, I'm just really blessed.
And you bought land a while ago, and I've driven by it recently. You're building a much larger space because you've expanded so much. You're building a bigger space out in Peosta.
Yeah, we outgrew our clinic. I opened in 2016 and I outgrew that in a couple of years, and we're like, okay, how can we bridge the time? And we got a mobile unit. So we call it the hydration station, and we drive it to areas like an hour and a half away, so that our patients, because a lot of them would come from like an hour and a half to 2 hours, we would park in their area so that they could come and receive treatments without having to drive to Dubuque. So with that, last year we opened up a space an hour and a half away, a new clinic. And then we have this new clinic coming to Peosta. And really it's just about, I feel like there's so many tools that can be provided to our community, and with the limited space that we had, I wasn't able to provide what I wanted to do. So this is just kind of that perfect bridge for our next steps.
Wow, that's amazing, Stephanie. It feels weird to say proud of you, but I'm so proud of you and excited for you. And it's just really cool to watch the expansion.
It's crazy too, because it's like, I don't ever get to I don't step back and like just look at it. And it's just like, really, when I'm like a vessel. And I always tell myself that I'm like, I'm just this vessel, because this stuff is wild and I couldn't have done it myself. So there's some sort of something guiding me along. So I really just always take that into appreciation, and just, I trust the process of whatever it is going to be. So,
yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. So, as you know, this is the Art of Unraveling podcast. And the question I always ask people is, what's something that's currently unraveling for you, or maybe something in a recent past that you're still dealing with on some level, that feels like it's prevalent for you to talk about? Like, what's your unraveling? I know you mentioned your health journey. I know I've seen a bit of about your health journey following you online and listening to you chat about it, but is that something you want to talk about today, or what's an unraveling that you want to share with us?
Yeah, it's, I was thinking about this question. It's like, what am I unraveling? It's like, I feel like I always am unraveling something, right? We're just,
Yeah.
just our life. And to me, I think the most current thing that I'm unraveling is how to be a mom. I'm a mom of a 10-month-old baby girl right now. And so how to be a mom, a business owner, and how to help myself heal, because I still am in the midst of healing, the healing journey. So it's like, how can I be present to everything that's important to me and stay sane,
Yeah, that's a huge question, right? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Well, first off, do you mind just sharing a little bit about your healing journey that you've been on? And I think that ties in so well with what you just talked about. It's like your why for your whole business.
Right. Yeah. When I was in my early 20s, I was just graduating as a new nurse. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And prior to that, I thought I was healthy and eating a healthy life, and just being a healthy person. And so this really kind of caught me off guard. And, I went the Western medicine route. I was given chemotherapy medications to slow down my immune system. And it worked at first. I was like, oh, I can walk and I can feel good again. And then I just put all my trust and all my power into Western medicine. And then years went by and I was getting sicker. And, I was told poor me. And so then I was like, okay, I'm a victim to my disease and and so that's kind of what I just took the drugs. I listened because that's what I was told. And then as I started kind of learning more, and really, I just got to a point of like, why did this happen to me? I need to know, because I thought I was healthy. And so that took me on a huge healing integrative journey and kind of led me to where I am today. And I think the biggest thing with that was getting my power back and making decisions based on the way I want to do them, not feared or ridiculed by the people that were supposed to help me.
Mm. So powerful. And so what did you figure out was the reason, or what were the reasons? I mean, I know because I know your story, but
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's so cool. I love like telling people, people just go, "Oh, it's because I got this one thing." And then when you unravel your health, it's like, "Oh, never mind. It was all of these things." So there was maybe something that really set my immune system on fire. But, before that, I was eating a standard American diet, which now I know to be highly inflammatory, and it wasn't good with my system. Gluten, dairy sensitive. So eating on that pyramid wasn't a good thing for me. I was in toxic relationships and stress with just graduating, becoming a nurse and taking boards. So there was this sort of perfect storm is what I tell people. And that's what typical health journeys are. It's just a perfect storm of all these things coming in at once. And then our immune system's kind of just breaking down, and then it leaves us raw and open to disease and cancers and just different things like that.
for sure. Uh, so I'm like, where do I want to go next? There's so many questions. So yeah, it's a perfect storm. There's so many things. It's not just this one thing led to XYZ. It's a combination of so many things. And I like how you describe that. And that, even our relationships, even our, obviously the food that we eat, we know that stuff, but are we thinking about our emotional health and needs and, everything else that plays into it?
Yeah, I think honestly that was the biggest healer to me, and what has been the biggest healer was getting into my spirituality and believing in something greater than myself. Because when you do get really sick, you're like, what is my plan? What is going to happen? So, finding help and comfort in spirituality, and like, again, like you said, just kind of figuring out, there's in Crohn's disease, which is what I was diagnosed with, like there's a lot of guilt and a lot of stuff held in our guts and emotions in our guts, and we have to unpack why. What is that guilt? What is the shame? What are those emotions that are causing that to happen? And so that was a deep journey for me, and it's really hard. It's hard to look at your shadow side. It's hard to, bring up things that aren't the best part of you to heal, but it's so important to actually living a true healthy life.
Oh, yeah, I love that so much. I am all about the shadow work. All about the shadow work. I really think it's the key to our success.
Yes.
If we, as long as we're denying parts of ourselves, we can't be fully integrated and therefore fully successful in whatever it is we're trying to achieve in life.
Totally.
What else? What else about your journey? I had a question and then you made the mistake of not writing it down. Go ahead.
Well, you think about it, and I will say, just to piggyback off what you were just saying, I don't know if people know who Bruce Lipton is, but he's such an amazing, he wrote the book Biology, I believe, The Honeymoon Effect, just different books. And he was really the one that bridged me from, he's a molecular biologist. He bridged the gap between spirituality and science for me. And that was really what helped me turn the corner from being very left brain, scientific thinker to like, incorporating all of this. And I was able to see him and Anita Morajani, who had a miraculous stage 4 healing journey. And I saw them a couple years ago, and I got to ask a question from the audience, and it was, I can manifest anything that I want in life. I have this beautiful family, I have this beautiful career, all of these things. But when it comes to my health, I can't manifest, even when I try. And Anita was like, it's not manifest when it's fear. When you're in fear, you can't manifest. So if you're in fear that you're not going to have money or you're going to be poor and starving, you'll never manifest money, because you're doing it out of a fear base versus joy. So whatever you're fearful of, find that joy, find the joy in your health, and then manifest from that place. And so obviously it's a lot easier said than done. She had a near-death experience. So she got, like, to me, I was like, you got the quick way, not the easy way, but you got the quick way to see all of this. So that is something that I try to work on every day, is finding the joy of my health. And to speak on that, I asked myself, like, when was the last time you manifested something good for your health? And then instantly, like, brought to tears thinking of my home birth with Lainey. And again, this kind of incorporates all of my unraveling. And I was like, oh yeah, when I knew I was pregnant, I always knew I wanted to have a home birth. And I knew if I went into Western medicine at all, they would be like, you're severe Crohn's, like, you've had 2 resections, you are going to be a C-section, you're going to be monitored. And I trusted my body, and I knew that I could do it. And so I had very minimal, I did all my own labs. So I am fortunate and privileged that way. So I had, the best, obviously, the best labs that anybody could ever get. And I kept track myself. And then I had 1 ultrasound, and I had a great team that trusted me. And then at the end, and I made sure that everybody on my team was someone that would believe in me. And I told Alex, like, when the time comes, I do not want you to call our parents and say that I'm in labor, because even the mother's love will bring a worry, fear, energy into my sphere, and I don't need that. So I was very strict on that. And even so she was born on Friday at 7:57 in the morning. And on Thursday, that week, my midwife was getting nervous because she couldn't measure me because of my past sutures and restriction to my belly. So she was pushing some fear there. I'm like, oh gosh, no way. So I was like, I'm going to get an ultrasound just to make sure that I can have her feel comfortable going into this, even though I had zero worries. And I did it. And I had a natural birth at home. It was so beautiful. Lainey was born super healthy, and I never had any inclination that it wouldn't go that way. And I was like, damn it, I manifested that. So why
Yes,
I
you
can
did.
manifest anything that I want in my health, but that was so easy and joyful. That's the only way it was going to be.
Wow, Stephanie. Oh my gosh. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, I want to circle back to what you said. And I've heard you tell that story before when you asked Bruce Lipton or Anita Morijani that question. I remember you saying that before, that if you're trying to manifest it out of fear, it's not going to happen, right? You got to do it out of joy. What, like along those same lines, obviously the birth of your daughter, yes, you completely manifested that to be done at home, healthy. You just you knew that within your bones that that's what was going to happen. What about, I'm curious, like for other people listening too, along those lines of manifesting out of joy versus fear, what about the times when your Crohn's acts up, or when you have some sort of an issue with your physical body after the birth, say, of Lainey? How do you find yourself getting back into joy in those moments?
Yeah. So 5 days after I had Lainey, I had a fever, and they were afraid that I had like some retained placenta or something. So I went into the ER, and when I got in there, I knew right then that it was a Crohn's flare. Like I could feel the exact area in my gut that was not okay. And they ended up draining like a pop can size full of infection out of me at that time. And so 5 days postpartum, and I tell people, like, I've never been one to want expectations, because everything changes. And so I know that in my life, I can be successful when I just kind of go with the flow. And, you think about like, okay, when's the first time you're going to leave your newborn? Like, oh, 2 years old, like maybe never. And then, it's 5 days postpartum, and I have to leave my baby with Alex. Alex is a new dad, and luckily we had such a good support system with his parents and mine. But it was tough. And when I remember when my surgeon, I get shipped to UW-Madison if something like this happens. And I remember when my surgeon came in, again, I had 2 resections in the past, and she was like, yeah, that area is going to have to be resected, I'm sure, at some point. And I was like, you mean like in years? And she's like, no, in like maybe 6 weeks. And I just remember just breaking down, because I knew what that meant. I knew that it meant most likely another ostomy. And I remember how hard it was just to take care of myself without a newborn baby. Right. So living in that moment was so hard. And
And we're talking, the words you're using, we're talking surgery, right? Where you're going to have part of your colon removed. Is that correct?
Yeah. So until then, so from there, from like day 5, they put a drain in my side. So as a new mom, I came home, I had a drain in my side. Every month, it usually would get clogged, or something would happen, and I'd have to be rehospitalized. That happened for 4 months. And then I had surgery. We tried to heal it. I did everything that I could. But when you have a drain in there and it's creating constant, there's a hole in my colon going to this outside space. That's where the drain comes in. But there was never, when there's a drain in there, there's never opportunity to close that hole. So anyways, the surgery was most likely inevitable. October 3rd last year, I had a colon resection. And it was a lot. So then I had an ostomy until December, and then I had it reversed. But honestly, looking back now, I tell Alex, like, how did we survive? How did we thrive? I mean, literally, from when Lainey was born, we opened up a new clinic in Cedar Rapids. We had our Peosta clinic break ground. We just did all of these things, and I think it names how great of a relationship Alex and I have. We have such a good partnership. So when one of us is down, the other lifts up, and he became this super mom dad. Like he did everything and he was so good at it, and it really just helped me heal as well. But it was wild for sure.
Wow, Stephanie. So you have a new baby. You have to deal with going to the hospital. You're opening, yeah, I don't even know how that seems absolutely crazy. I mean, you must have a good team as well that helps you hire people or something. Like, how are you doing all of that? Or is Alex the one that's hiring? And
It's us. We're like zooming in people for interviews, and honestly, I will say it's universal. It's universally
yeah,
trusting as well. Like I know that we had like 40 applications for a nurse in Cedar Rapids, and it just wasn't working, and then I'd be hospitalized. Like we couldn't just hire someone, and it was really frustrating, but I trusted that the right person would come along. And then beautifully, someone didn't even know we were hiring and was like, hey, I've had an IV there before, I've seen you, and she's been perfect. So it's again, like, it's trusting too, and not
yeah,
just quickly going into things. Like we're very systematic on the way we do things too.
yeah. I love that. So you explained that journey a little bit more, but just to circle, because I know we kind of, as women, we just start talking,
Yes.
and I do that, as you all know that listen to this podcast. But so in those moments after Lainey's birth, when you're in the hospital and you're dealing with your Crohn's yet again, how do you get out of fear in those moments? How do you find the joy? Because that's such like a deep spiritual experience to try to find joy when you're in a hospital. You just had a newborn, you're opening a new clinic, you have 45,000 things going on, and here
Yeah.
you are yet again dealing with this ongoing issue. Like, where's your mindset at in those moments, and how do you rise above the negative thinking to get out of the fear?
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend I'm like a unicorn and I don't have dark thoughts, because I
Right.
do, because it is scary. It is scary to live
Yeah.
through something like that. And it's traumatizing every time that something like that happens. But I don't let myself live in those moments for a long time. Like when I
Yeah.
see something that happens that seems bad, I love the good and bad. When it
Right.
seems bad, I'm like, okay, well, why is this happening for me? I remember when my original surgery was supposed to be in September, and I was so ready to get that drain out of me, because it literally was draining my life force. And I was like ready for it to happen. And then I got septic and I got COVID, and they wouldn't let me do surgery. They wouldn't let me see Lainey. It was really bad. And I was like, why is this happening? But I trusted that everything would be better down the road when I was feeling better and stronger. And so just trusting, I think, has been the biggest learning. And the thing to find my joy is like, okay, I'm going to live day by day, and I'm going to trust in my journey.
Wow, Stephanie. That's huge. And I know you know Julia Tyson, obviously.
Yes.
And I feel like a lot of what you're talking about is like a bit about her cancer journey too, which was such a powerful thing for people to listen to, that whether you have some sort of physical illness, or maybe you have money issues, or maybe you have, relationship issues, or whatever your thing is in life, what I'm hearing you say is, it's about trusting. Like, it's about trusting that what this is happening for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
As every unraveling is, it's happening for a reason to evolve us in some way, if we choose to see it that way, or stay stuck and in the why me, why is this happening, self-pity, victimization, and all of those things. But it's not to minimize that either. That's an experience I feel like we have to let ourselves have. Otherwise, we're shadowing,
Yeah,
parts of the experience.
For sure. And I feel like, we are each, to me, my beliefs, we signed up for this role coming to earth. Like we signed up for these lessons that we're going to learn in this experience. So Erin, I could never handle your experiences with grace like you do. I couldn't. And like, I couldn't, if someone has a bad relationship with their spouse, sign me up for this GI stuff, because I could never imagine not having a great relationship with Alex and having that teamwork. So we're each handed these unique situations that when we look at someone else's life, we're like, oh gosh, I'm glad I'm not in that situation. But, again, each of us has been built for the journey that we are leading. So I definitely trust in that as well.
Yeah, same. I think I just like from what you're sharing right now, I think about you're this warrior of health, and like you've taken your health journey, which has been very hard, your physical health journey, and you've turned it into your why, and this is what you're doing to help other people, because you've been there and you went down the Western medicine route and it wasn't working for you. So I see myself in the same way in the emotional journey, like I feel like I'm an emotional warrior in a lot of ways. And I've had a lot of things I've had to deal with
Yes.
Emotionally through my childhood and journey and all of that. And that's what I help people with. So in a way, yeah, I see that kind of mirror there.
Yeah, why we choose to do what we do. And like, you said, like from childhood, and then like even looking epigenetically, and again, that epigenetics is science, and looking at like our stored traumas from our grandparents and even like 7 generations before us, their epigenetics and traumas and all of that are coming down to us. So we get all of the stuff, right? And it's us that gets to choose whether we give that to our children and let them continue the cycle, or we stop it. We stop the traumas and stress, and we help heal. I never understood what they meant by like, oh, if you heal yourself, you're healing lineages before you and after you. But that truly is what it is. If you can take the traumas that you have and understand that they can be from past lineages and childhood and all that, and you're healing it now, you're healing so many generations before and in front of you.
100%. Yeah. When I got into ancestral work, I learned, like I met one of my ancestors. You go find your well in spirit ancestors, and sometimes you have to go way, 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 way back to find them. I mean, we're talking, I don't even know how many generations back. I don't know. I didn't know her obviously physically. But she had said, you're the chosen one. And I really feel like, and at first I was like, I don't want to be the dang chosen one. Like this stuff is not easy, but I see, and I see a lot of us light workers like yourself that are that chosen one in our lineage, because for whatever reason, we're strong enough to be able to take on those challenges and to heal, like you said, the whole lineage back. I don't have children, but for you, the whole lineage moving forward as well. And it's serious work. It's seriously not easy. And I know so many people that listen to this podcast that are right there along with us doing that work.
So amazing. I give everybody credit that is on this journey, because like you said, it is not for the faint of heart. It is not, oh, it sounds beautiful, right? Oh, we're healing our generation.
You're the chosen one.
No, that means like we're at this like crux of miserable, like we have this, like, we have the opportunity to be a victim or an empowered person, right? So like, yeah, it is not easy, and yeah, but it is the life work, and I understand that whatever my life it will be is like, I'm satisfied with where I've come to be. I want to do so much more, but also like, okay, I'm stopping things here. We're going to have good futures. So I'm really happy for people that are doing this work.
Yeah, it's so, so needed. And it's just beautiful to watch different people doing it in different ways and turning their their struggles, their issues into their passions, and then turning around and helping other people with that. Like, I think that's the coolest thing in the world, probably because I'm biased, but I love watching other people do the same, and it just lights me up.
Yeah, I agree.
So going back to your original topic, which you said, which was unraveling motherhood, being an entrepreneur, not only being an entrepreneur, but collecting new places, new spaces, having more people to manage, and your health. What feels like it's been the hardest? Like, what feels the hardest right in this moment right now, or the most like challenging, I guess?
Yeah, I think like the things I can't prepare for or plan that pop up in life. Like um we went to Arizona and Texas a month ago, and we got back and all three of us got sick with something, and mine lingered on for 4 weeks, and that was something like I didn't prepare for or plan, like you just can't, and it was a slow road to recovery. And then on top of that, like I've had a couple people need to change their positions at work. So then all of a sudden, like I'm going from doing what I need to get done to then having to find hours of my day to, all of a sudden find new employees, and like that stuff that kind of comes out of nowhere is stuff that is hard for my nervous system. So I was seeing people full time when I first opened years ago. And then I knew for my health that like energetic exchange was just too much for me. I would feel sick, and I would literally, what I think I found out years later was like, oh my gosh, I'm literally hospitalizing myself when I get to a point of where people are trying to get at me and I need to take a break, because this hospital is the only place I can
Wow.
take a break. And I was like, what? That's messed up. Like, I want to go to a beautiful vacation and spend all my money. I don't want to be in a hospital. So,
Wow,
I had to,
Stephanie. That's
yeah,
huge.
it was huge. And anyways, I turned myself into like, okay, what brings me joy every day? I ask myself, if I'm doing a task, I'm like, is this bringing me joy? And if I have a repeated no, then it's like, okay, I don't want to do it anymore, or I need to off task this to someone else if it's not in my wheelhouse. So I'm very close. Like I've been molding myself the past few years to really get to a beautiful place where everything's bringing me joy every day. But there are things that obviously come that are unexpected and unplanned, and I have to figure that out still.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Is this bringing me joy? I know that little trick, but I think I could use that in my own business sometimes too. Cause yeah, you just try to do all the things as an entrepreneur, and then I wonder why I'm resisting certain things. Like, oh, it's probably not bringing me joy.
Yeah. And so funny, because as entrepreneurs too, we have control because it's our baby and we don't want to let control of things. Then we also have control because like we fear having someone else come in and like giving them income and, the fear of money. But I've always realized like whenever I feel ready to add a position or have someone else help me for extra, like it always comes back. The financials always come back that way. So I'm like, okay, like just follow what really feels right and you will be supported by the universe. So that's
Right.
my thing. I always keep in the back of my mind.
I need to do that. I need to do that with some things at the moment that are coming to mind. So I'll get back to you on that.
Good. Yes, please.
Well, Stephanie, anything else you want to share with us? This has been so great. I love all that you've shared. It's so inspiring to hear your story and hear how you're overcoming things and you're still dealing with some physical health issues, as I'm still dealing with some of my emotional things that I have to go through. But yet you're still moving forward. You're not letting it hold you back. And I think that's what's most inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, I think just having Lainey and knowing like she is just our light in our lives and we just enjoy her so much. It's like, well, what can I do to really like cultivate such a good life experience for her? And it's happening. And so I think like it's giving ourselves grace for when we aren't feeling our best. Like I know that some days, like Alex, you're just gonna have to take over today, or grandma and grandpa, you're going to have to take over, and allowing that to happen and not letting that get in the way of our time together, you know. So anyways, it's always like just taking it day by day for me, and living the most when we can and when it's good. So yeah.
What do you feel like you've learned? I've like last two questions. What do you feel like you've learned most from your physical health journey? Like what's been the lesson in it? I mean, you've given us a lot already, but just to kind of sum it up.
Yeah, I think it is taking care of myself and making sure my cup is full before I'm depleting it to others, and yeah, like really learning to respect myself and love myself enough to stay healthy.
100%. Otherwise you end up in the hospital,
Yeah,
as you said, right?
right. Don't want that.
To get a break.
Yeah.
Sometimes from other people.
Yes.
Yes. All right. And last question I always like to ask, for somebody that's right in the middle of a health crisis or emotional crisis or a relationship crisis, whatever, what would you tell that person that they just are really struggling? What would you say?
I want to hug them first, and I want to say, don't give up, and you are here for a reason, and it might look really dark today, but tomorrow it could be really beautiful. And just trusting that, and deeply trusting that there is no good or bad experience. It just is. I think is the biggest thing, is like, oh, we think that this is really bad for us, but maybe it is just what we need to evolve a little bit further and have a really good life.
Wow, Stephanie, I love that so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoy this. And I love like just being on, like not having any agenda coming into something and just freely talking. It was really nice. So thank you so much.
Oh, I'm glad. That's the only way to do these unfortunately, sometimes I'm a little like, oh my gosh, what question do I ask next? But it just flows. And I just love the rawness that comes forward when we interview that way. So
you did great. Thank you.
Thank you. Check out Stephanie I know you're big on Instagram a lot, Integrative health practitioner, right?
The healthy practitioner.
The healthy practitioner.
Yes.
And if you're in the Midwest area, obviously she's in Cedar Rapids now, Dubuque. Are you in Davenport too?
We have our mobile unit goes to Davenport once a week. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. And I know you've been out to North Liberty, because when I was getting my tooth implant, I had a little IV.
Yes.
Which was
we really try to get around to where the people need us. So for sure. Yeah. And yeah, I'm always trying to develop content that is helpful for people. I think that the Instagram, the healthy practitioners, is the best way to get just some general health tips. And yeah, I think that's the best way to reach out.
Yeah, so please check her out. We will leave links below this podcast as well for you if you want to see what Stephanie's up to or go check out one of her facilities. And we are just super grateful for you taking time out of your absolutely busy schedule to be here. We really appreciate that. And thank you again.
Thank you, Erin. Till next time.
Until next time.